I'm Erica Barnhart, and welcome to the Pause and Fast podcast. I've lost 90 pounds using healthy eating and clean fasting, but more importantly, I've gained clarity, confidence, and a love for real self care. This podcast is about sharing what I've learned and creating a community where we can grow together. One mindful choice, one fast, and one day at a time. Because every time you pause, it's a choice. When you stop just for a moment, you take back your control. When you sip water instead of reaching for a snack, when you breathe instead of rushing, fasting is power because when you pause, you're choosing yourself. So grab a cup of coffee or your water, take a deep breath, and let's dive in together. And now for a quick disclaimer. The views and experiences shared on this podcast are of my own and my guests, and they're meant for information and inspiration. They are not a prescription. I am not a medical professional, so please don't take my word over your doctor's. We'll be chatting about things like intermittent fasting and hormone health. And while it might sound like we've tried it all, your body is unique. So before changing your diet or your hormone health plan, check in with your healthcare provider. This podcast is all about sharing ideas and good conversations, not medical instructions. So always listen to your body. It usually knows what's up. Hello and welcome to the Pause and Fast podcast. I'm here with Jo Holcomb from Fulton, Mississippi, and I'm so excited to talk to you today, Jo. Thanks for agreeing to come on and chit chat with me.
You're welcome.
How are you today?
I'm excited. I'm good. I'm doing very well. Thanks.
Good. I'm always excited to talk to other fasters and share their stories. So we'll just go ahead and dive in if that's okay, Jo. Let me ask you, what first led you to try intermittent fasting and when did you begin your journey?
So it was actually pre-pandemic, the last known vestiges of normal life. I had some friends at work who were doing this new diet, and this was like in November of 2019. And it was through I'm a school teacher. I teach at a community college now. I was at a high school then. And it was through our state insurance plan. And oh my gosh, it's been so long, I've forgotten the name of it. Regardless, the program basically was like a 16-8 fast, but they didn't call it that. But you also could have any non-caloric beverages in while you were fasting.
Okay.
I did not know it is intermittent fasting, but I just remember, and I've said this probably on every podcast I've been on, I just remember it's one of those core moments in my life that I walked in and my friend Candy, it was Candy and Sandy, my friends Candy and Sandy, I always give them the credit. Yeah. I walked in and Candy, who is a consummate dieter. I walked in and she was eating a cheeseburger and french fries. And I said, "You can't have that on your diet." And she said, "Oh no, I can have anything I want to when it's time for me to eat in that 8-hour time to eat." And so I was like, okay, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to start. I'm not going to do it now because, I was ready to get fat and sassy for the holidays. I said, I'm going to do this with y'all whenever we get back from Christmas break. And so I did. And about 10 days in, I discovered Jen's Facebook group, Delay Don't Deny. And I realized that what I thought was fasting really wasn't fasting. Now, I was losing probably inflammation. I mean, I had lost some weight in those first couple of weeks.
Just by being mindful about
Yes, but the clean fast changed everything, of course, as we know. Rest is kind of history. Fast Feast Repeat was released in June. Of course, I had nothing to do but sit at home in June of 2020 and read Fast Feast Repeat. But I did, and by then I was already very invested in the clean fast and my fasting routine. By that time, I was already up to probably 18 hours a day averaging. I started out at like 15 or 16. And I just ran with it. I just tell people it's like God opened this door for me and I just walked in it and it just felt effortless that I never would have thought I would have been a person who would have said it was very easy, but I had some hard days and I still have hard days, but I wasn't having to count anything. I wasn't having to weigh anything. I wasn't having to calculate. I wasn't having to cut carbs or add points or, worry about macros. I just ate what I wanted in, 6 to 8 hour period of time. And that's how I started.
Mine was similar. I can feel that a lot. Like what I discovered Jen Stevens, thank goodness, very quickly because I didn't know about the clean fast. But as soon as I did, it like just triggered in my mind.
Yeah.
And just like you said, it was something that sounded hard, like old Erica would now. It's the easiest thing I've
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Because you don't really, the only thing you have to keep up with is, okay, how long is my eating window going to be today? I quote Laurie Lewis, who everybody who knows me knows
Yes.
how much I love Laurie Lewis. If you are one of Jen's intermittent fasters, probably at least know of Laurie Lewis. But she just says, I just wake up and I just say, what is my eating window going to be today? And that's just all there is to it, really.
So you tend to think of it more in your eating window instead of your fasting time?
I do now. I
Yes.
do now. And I do still use a timer. I am a timer girl. I love my fasting app. Well, I don't know what that is. I just picked up my phone to show you. But yeah, I do like to track just for the data. I know it means nothing as far as the timer telling you you're in ketosis or autophagy or whatever. But I do like to look at the data. And before the Life app crashed, which is what I started with.
That's what I started with too.
Yes,
After
I
that,
was
I used
devastated. I was so
this is my
sad.
moment to stop, but I do I liked the timer. It almost was like me officially committing to closing my window and me officially committing to when I'm starting. It felt good. I've been considering reintroducing it, even
Yeah,
as an experienced
I
faster.
I cannot, and I say cannot because it really is not a can. It really is not a will. It is a can. Mentally, I still, and I'm almost 6 years in, I'm still very tethered to my timer. And I think a lot of that, well, so before my timer, I did what you said. Like it was a tangible reminder. Stop eating, start eating. And I had an alarm set on my phone for 7 p.m. that said stop eating. And I had an alarm on my phone for 11 a.m. that said start eating.
All right.
And that's really kind of where I started as far as keeping up with the time. But I do like to look at the data of like what percentage of time I'm in a fasted state, just because, and we'll talk about this in a minute if you want to.
Yeah.
Health issues that I've had that are highly inflammatory. It means it's important to me. It is important to me that I do stay of an average of about 18 hours fasted throughout the week per day. So,
Okay.
some days maybe 17, some days maybe 22. I've done longer fasts of, 40 plus hours. I did a 3-day fast one time. But, it's important to me to know my eating window length, but it's also important to me to be in a fasted state the majority of my life.
That's a great tip. And I like that you do the average because I don't know about you, Amy Jo, but people always ask me, like, what is your protocol? And it's just so important to me to tell people. I'm like, it changes every day. I know
Yes.
that sounds wild, but there's days. Yesterday, I had a 6 hour eating window. Saturday, today's Monday. I had a 6 hour eating window, which isn't very common for me. I usually have like a 3 hour eating. It's just a different kind of day. And then tomorrow I'm traveling and I might have a 1 hour eating window.
Yeah. Well, yeah, same. When I first started out, and I tell people, so I'm a certified health coach. That's something else that's been a very important non-scale victory for me is health
That's awesome.
coaching. And um I I do understand that consistency is key for your body to learn to do something new. Same as exercise, right? So, in the early stages of my journey and the people that I coach who are new to fasting, consistency, I tell them, is very key. So, your body learns what to do. But once you become metabolically flexible, and that's a
Love that
term we
word.
know. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all over the place for me too. If somebody says, what do you do? Well, I mean, I average about 18 to 19 hours fasting a day throughout the week. Yesterday, we had family pictures. My husband took me to dinner before. I ate plenty of food, but my window was very, very tight, right at an hour, maybe a few minutes less. And I know from experience, I don't do well when I have very, very tight windows for several days in a row. So today at 10:30, I was hungry. So what did I do? I ate. I got me some mixed nuts and I drank some coffee. I have black coffee, of course, when I'm fasting. I had a little bit of a coffee milkshake as a treat today. There's
Mm.
a little coffee shop here in town that I love. So yeah, I mean, I opened my window at 10:30 today, but I'll probably close it by 5 because yeah, we eat early. My husband and I are
I
empty.
like eating early.
Yeah. So, I'll still have just about a 6.5, 7 hour window today. But yeah, I can't tell you what I do every day because it depends on the day.
Absolutely. And I love that as well. Just like you said, I'm so glad I don't have to count everything anymore and think about everything. It's just the time. It's like I'm either in my eating time or I'm not.
That's
The
it.
end. And
I'm either eating or I'm not. That's
I'm either
it.
eating or I'm not. The
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's what I try to tell my friends and everything too, just to like reiterate what you just said. How today you were hungry. And you decided to eat at 10:30. And I shared the same kind of thing. I was going to wait till after our meeting today to eat, but I was feeling a little hungry this afternoon. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a little bit of salad. I'm going to have something before I talk to Amy Jo, and
Yeah.
then I'll finish my dinner
Yeah.
after our conversation. No big deal.
No big deal.
No big deal.
No.
Yeah. And I'm actually kind of glad I did. Some days I'm like, I want to stay focused. I don't need to eat. And I didn't need to, but I was like, it just felt really good today to eat. I don't know why. Maybe because it's cold.
Well, yeah, and sometimes you might need food to keep focused. I can get a little bit edgy if I'm really, really deep into ketosis. And those are the days, particularly as a teacher and now a college professor, that I'm like, I can tell my kids don't have any idea what I'm talking about. I'm all over the place. And my friend April, everybody who knows me probably knows April. April has a fasting group too. And she is a live wire. And if she goes too long without food, she just gets all over the place too. So there is a balance there that I think you as an individual have to find of, okay, do I need to eat or do I need to keep focused or do I need to fast to keep focused? It depends on the person, I think.
I think so, because we're all an experiment of one. So if
Yes.
I believe you, like,
Yes.
but for the most part, I prefer to stay fasted for big events. I just love the focus that I get from it. I'm in some other like Facebook groups and stuff, and some people are just so insistent, like 1 hour or less. But like you said, if I could do an hour meal, heck yeah, I'd probably do that a couple days in a row. But if I do that too many days in a row, then I find myself almost binging. Like I'm standing at the cabinet and I'm like trying to get as much in as I can. I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't healthy either.
Those are the days that you find yourself staring in the pantry or the refrigerator and you ask yourself, what am I doing here? Well, I don't even know what I want, but your body is telling you better eat something.
Yeah, get something. So yeah, I try to be mindful of that too. But fasting is the first time in my life I've ever been in tune with that. Before I was just kind of like, time to eat. I
Yeah.
better eat, or eating for future hunger, like eating in case I might get hungry.
Guilty. Yeah.
Guilty. Yeah, that was a
Guilty.
big aha moment for me
Yeah.
whenever I started fasting as well.
Well, when I first started, I set that timer that said stop eating at 7 p.m. At 6:30, I would start cramming because I was afraid I was going to be. This was, of course, very early. I
Yeah.
was afraid. I was afraid. I was a 300-pound morbidly obese woman who was afraid of being a little bit hungry the next day. And so I would start cramming at 6:30 and I would eat until 6:59.59 and it rolled over to 7 p.m. because
Yeah.
I was so yeah, I mean I get it. I totally get it. It is a mind warping experience to go from where I was to where I started, but now I can't imagine doing anything any other way.
How much weight have you lost, Amy Jo? May I ask?
Oh yeah. I love to tell it, girl. I am not a person. I don't hide my light under the bushel. I
Yeah.
tell it. So I topped out on a scale at my OBGYN's office. The highest recorded weight ever for me was 300 pounds.
Okay.
When I started fasting, the last recorded weight that I have was at my orthopedist in November, the end of November of 2019. I had gotten back up to 272.
Okay.
And that's when I was like, I've got to do something. Because I had lost about 2012 and 13, I'd lost from 300 to 250 doing low carb and then fell off that wagon. And I was like, I looked at it and I thought, my Lord, I have gained 22 pounds. I cannot do this again. And so from that weight to where I am versus 300 to where I am, I'm right at about 100 pounds. But now that's from 300. I have put on, 20 to 25 since I hit menopause 2 years ago. And it
Okay.
is slowly coming back off from probably hormone replacement therapy and just being in a better place, emotionally with my hormones and things like that. And I have been very sick as of late with some stomach issues that I've hopefully figured out that I've lost about 10 pounds in 6 weeks. And normally I'd be like, yay, of course, that's not the way you want to lose it.
Right.
But it has really shown me also, and this is sort of a lesson too that I've learned that maybe somebody can take with them. It showed me since I've been sick and I have been able to only eat very little at a time and eat maybe 2 or 3 small meals in about 6 hours every day, that I was probably overeating in my eating window, even
I
if
can
it was
see that.
only an hour or two, because I'm a volume eater. I can pack in a lot of food in a very short amount of time. And so between the hormones and the overeating that was probably happening some days, that weight, I stalled out at like 215 was the top that I got back down to. And I'm back down to about 205.
Okay.
So my lowest was 180. No. My lowest ever, it only lasted about 2 days, was 178.
Okay.
178. That was the day before my son got married. Probably because I'd been running around like a chicken with my head cut off and hadn't eaten
Probably
very much.
forgetting to
But
eat.
yes. But 185 was my happy place. It was my happy place. So from my all-time high of 300, anywhere from 120 to 115 pounds, and now I'm down about 100 still.
And that's really important to remember too. You had some things going on, which we could dig into, some health concerns,
Yeah.
menopause, which is something I'm starting to look at now, making decisions. But you did decide to do the hormone replacement therapy,
Yes,
and that's
yes.
working well for
I
you.
found have a family friend actually who is she is a holistic doctor. She's a nurse practitioner who went and got certified in female hormone replacement therapy. And
Wonderful.
so I'm going that route with estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all the things. And it has helped me in a lot of ways. But yeah, I have had a lot of post-COVID health problems.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
reading your post something about like a COVID effective. Whenever you had COVID, there's
Yes.
some side effects that are
Yes.
lingering. Do you
So
mind telling us about that?
yeah, I got COVID. My whole family got COVID like 1st of December of 2020. And when I came back to work in January, I was still pretty sick, but the blood bus was there and I wanted to donate platelets.
Yes.
And 2 days later, I was in the hospital. I
No.
just pretty much wiped out my immune system. So, a lot of things that were, in my opinion, probably dormant in my body, my immune system was compromised. I now have alpha gal. I'm allergic to red meat. I have mast cell activation disorder, which means that my mast cells, my immune system sort of hyperreacts. I have Raynaud's, which is autoimmune. The stomach issues that I've been having are autoimmune. I have dysautonomia, vasovagal syncope, which is a very common long COVID symptom or disorder, dysautonomia. So my body is like in this constant flux and state of inflammation that I'm always having to fight. But every time I get my blood work done, my nurse practitioner is a rock star. I cannot say enough good things about Tara, and she knows that I think she's a rock star. She will test me for anything and everything she thinks I need or that I want. And my C-reactive protein, my SID rate, all of my inflammatory markers are always low. They're always low, which is a miracle. And I know that it's because of fasting.
The inflammation change alone is amazing.
Yeah.
I'll share with you that my husband also is a faster. Since I got on board, he is on board as well. And he's a bigger guy. He's probably about 260 pounds. He may have lost 10 pounds. He has longer eating windows, but he says, and he knows he could lose more weight, but just the inflammation alone. He says he
Yeah.
has less back pain, less joint pain. It's easier to get out of bed in the morning by having even a 14-hour fast like he does
Well,
sometimes.
one thing I haven't mentioned is when one of the other reasons besides my weight that I wanted to try this is because I'm a composition teacher. I love to write. I love to do research. And so when I first started fasting, I really dug into a lot of the research. In 2016, I tore my labrum in my right hip. I have no idea how, but I had to have surgery to fix that. And the nerve pain before and even after the surgery was excruciating. I was on a cocktail of drugs to function every day, to sleep at night. I was in constant chronic pain, spent thousands of doctor's visits, 8 different doctors, 6 different scans. I mean, trying to find an answer. And the only answer was, well, your hip you've probably still got a tear in there, but we can only figure that out with another surgery. And I said, no.
No.
2 weeks at just about 15 hours fasting, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Pain was markedly better. And I knew then I did not have a clue what I weighed or how much weight I'd lost because I told myself I was going to give it a month without weighing. And 2 weeks, I thought, okay, if I don't lose another pound, I have to do this because my pain is almost gone.
Isn't that amazing?
It is a miracle. And that's why I tell people I believe with all of my heart, this is how God made us to function. Like, as human beings, we are not, and you don't have to share my spiritual beliefs if you're listening to this, but it doesn't make sense if you look at science and history for us to eat from daylight until dawn.
No,
Our
I love
ancestors
actually when
did.
Jen says that
They
about,
couldn't.
I tell people that we had to go out and scavenge for our food
Yeah.
and, no one just had food aplenty
No.
delivered to them all day long. But I was raised, well, I don't know about you, Amy Jo, but I was a bigger child as well. So I started Weight Watchers young and my family was like, you have to eat breakfast to get your metabolism going, all the things. But when my mindset changed that maybe I didn't have to do that, everything else changed as well.
Yes. Yes. And I don't know how old you are. I'm 49.
I am 45.
Okay.
So we're
So
close.
our generation was raised waste not, want not.
Yes, that too.
You don't throw food away. My dad is the 1948 baby boomer. My mother's not far behind. My grandparents were born in the teens of the
Okay.
20th century. My grandmother in particular, my daddy's mother, she was born in 1917. And so she was a very, very down to earth, frugal person. You don't waste anything. Eggshells go in the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Composting.
recycle your food into something else. But she was also born in 1917. So this was 2 different worlds that we came from. And she was always, when I think about like waste not, want not, and being careful with what you have and a good steward of what you have and not wasting what you have, she's the one that always comes to mind. But she also wasn't overweight.
No, that's
No.
important to remark as well.
Yeah.
Because waste not, want not, they didn't probably have all of the processed food or not eating as
Nope.
often as we do. You could understand this, but I was a product of the 80s whenever everything was coming out with additives and processed foods and cereal was hitting the table and we had the commercials in our living room every day. So
Yeah.
it was a huge switch for me. And even for some of my friends and family still, they're afraid to not eat. And it's just amazing to think that, like you said, you might.
I remember very vividly the Snackwell's cookies in the green box. No fat, no fat. Yeah, yeah. And I thought I was really doing something good with those Snackwell's cookies. I'm pretty sure they still make them.
Yes, I don't know for sure. I haven't even checked, to be honest. But we had this cabinet. My dad was always on a diet as well, and my mom or whatever. But Snackwell cookies, spray on butter,
Yep.
fat-free sour cream and ranch.
Yep.
I would rather have a dry salad than a fat-free ranch salad now.
Yes.
But that's
Yes.
what I was raised on, that's what I was
Yes.
dipping everything in.
Yeah. And I wasn't really even right. My parents were not dieters. They didn't harp on me or my sister about weight, size, diets. All of that was very self-imposed. And I did everything, honey. Took the Purple Blast, did the Weight Watchers, we were taking speed at 17 years old and we really didn't even know it. We were buying at the gas station. So, yeah, I've done everything. And this fasting was my last resort before weight loss surgery. I told myself if I tried this and it didn't work, that I was just going to have the surgery, even though I knew the surgery wasn't going to work. And I know the surgery is not going to work because I am married to someone who had it. And the weight, if you don't change
Yeah,
your way of eating, it's going to come back because this ain't about calories, it's about insulin. And weight loss surgery patients often have to eat very frequently, day to night, because they can't eat much at a time. And I'm
absolutely.
not saying that there's anything wrong with having weight loss surgery, okay? I'm not demonizing anyone who has had that, who has made that choice. Probably everybody that's listening to this knows
Has
Wendy Hinkle
considered doing it.
Takino, and Wendy is a weight loss surgery patient. You know, it does make it difficult, probably a little more difficult to fast. But yeah, I knew it was not going to be the cure all, but it was just a last resort for me.
I know. I have some friends. I know some people in my life who have had it done, and a few have had success. So I'm really happy for them. I hope that
Yes.
that was the right choice. But I also have had some people very close to me who gained all of the weight back
Yeah.
because they didn't handle some of the underlying issues that may have been going on, such as food addiction or the mental health issues. And they just kind of lost it and then regained it. And I'm like, that is so sad to have gone through all of that for your
Yes.
body and have
Yeah.
regained it.
That's another thing that fasting has helped me with, and I know you can relate, is the food noise. I do still have some moments where the food noise does get to me, but for the most part, I can quiet it by knowing that this is something that whether I lose more weight or not, it's healing something in my body and keeping me from being a very sick person again.
Love that. So it's more than just weight loss now.
Yes.
Yes, I'm with
Yes.
you there. It's
Yes.
more than just weight loss now, which
Yeah.
I didn't expect whenever I started.
There's no way you can know, Erica. There's no way anybody can tell you what the full picture of this really is. You just have to do it and experience it for yourself. And you have to be, well, I say have to be. You can be, people say you may be the only Bible somebody read. You may be the only intermittent fasting success story that somebody knows about and sees and is inspired by. I mentioned before that, and I think I posted about it in Jen's group, that in my very small town of Fulton, a lot of people know me as the fasting lady. There's the fasting lady.
I
And
love
I
it.
didn't realize that until I walked in the Goodwill. There's a little Goodwill place here in town. And the women were all like whispering, whispering, whispering. And I was like, why are they talking about me? And somebody finally said, yes, that's her. That's the fasting lady. And I did not know who these people were. And she said, I'm in your group. And I wanted to say, yeah, I know exactly who you are. But I didn't know.
Well, because you were
But
inspiring them and didn't even realize it.
I
What an
didn't. I
amazing gift.
didn't. I didn't because I don't. Oh, this sounds sort of self ingratiating, I guess, but I really don't think of myself that way because I do still struggle just like I always did. And you probably can relate to this, that sometimes in my mind, I'm still that 300-pound woman.
My goodness. Yes, absolutely. In fact, it's still hard for me sometimes. Well, I'll use Kohl's as an example. I don't know if you ever go to Kohl's, but as soon as I walk in, I head straight to the plus size clearance. Every single time, I'm like, wait a second, I don't live here anymore. But it was
Right.
just such a part of my habit. Um, but just to be recognized that way is such a gift. Like I shared with you, I'm in a position where I visit businesses, and some of the people I see once or twice a year. And every time I go in, somebody, not every time, but often people are like, I've been waiting for you to come. I've been thinking about talking to you about fasting for 6 months. So I love whenever people reach out to me by email, with Facebook. Anyway, I'll share everything I know because it's not just for me. I want to share this gift. I want to give some people awareness.
Me too. And that's what I know. One thing you wanted to talk about was like how you share, how I share. And
That's it.
like I said, I don't hide my light. I am very unashamed about what I do. And part of that, though, is because I've studied it, I've researched it, I've read, I know how to respond to people who might be skeptical or outright critical. And I've dealt with both
Uh-huh.
of people who fast. And it's not to be mean. I'm not constantly on the defensive about anything, But I think it is important to know that you are going to encounter someone along the way who is a naysayer, or you might encounter someone who is generally or genuinely inquisitive about it. You do need to know how to respond, how to talk about it.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that you run around carrying a sign that says I'm an intermittent faster, but if it ever comes up, I do feel it's important that you be able to respond intellectually and kindly about how this is really beneficial and what it's really about.
I agree that that's such an important point as well. So you do share your fasting journey with others through Facebook and
Yes.
communities and things. How else do you share it?
Well, for example, my first year at the community college where I teach, which is in the town that I live in, so everybody here pretty much knew, what I did. I was asked to do a professional development on intermittent fasting.
Wow.
And I sort of wrapped it in the envelope of, improving the health and well-being of the faculty. And I did 3 professional development sessions at all 3 campuses about intermittent fasting. There's several people that I work with now here. I may not even ever see them across campus, but that now are intermittent fasters because they were curious about it. And that professional development enlightened them. People that maybe not have seen me in a long time, former students, a lot of times may say, they see me out and about, how'd you lose all your, and I just tell
I
them.
share it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it seems to me, I don't know if you agree, or maybe it's because I'm living the lifestyle, but more people understand it now than when I first began.
I agree.
Yeah. Even my parents, they're medical professionals. They're like, tell me more. What is this thing? And now they're starting to hear about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, at first people had concern because it just seems so much different than
Yes.
what they're used to doing and seeing. So I'm with you. I always recommend to people read the books, listen to podcasts. I'd like to dig even deeper. I'm not an expert. I just have some knowledge that I like to share. But
Right.
there's so much out there. You can learn everything. I read, of course, The Obesity Code by Dr. Jason Fung. I actually listened to an audiobook. That's my pro tip there. I don't know if I could have read it, but
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
it's pretty
helpful.
heavy.
It's pretty heavy, but it
Yeah.
was very interesting. I'm glad I
Yeah.
listened to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. You've got people like Fung, and then of course you've got lay people like Jen, and you got, is it Ellie Jarouge? Is that his name? I can't, he's someone who is a huge proponent of fasting. Peter Attia, I've seen and read some stuff. So those people, I think even though it has its liabilities, those are some of the benefits of social media too, that they have been given this platform to share this message, and they don't have to rely on someone to go to the library to check out their book.
Yeah, the gift of the internet, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
actually added Lori Lewis to all of my socials after your podcast. For the
Yes.
record, I was
Yes.
yeah. So
Yes.
I love whenever other people share who that's actually what I ask other fasters as well whenever I meet them in the wild. I'm like, "Do you have any influencers that you like in particular?" And sometimes they have nothing. Sometimes they have something I've already heard of, and then sometimes they introduce me to someone new. But
Yes.
I just want to know who people are learning from. I think that that's wonderful that they can get the
Yeah. And
information.
like you have your group, I have a group, Wendy has a group, Mike has a group, April has a group. Of course, we all know Jen has a big group, like it is a snowball effect. It's what has happened. That's been my experience with it.
Yes. And there's so many bad groups out there. I'm hoping that people find some of the good ones.
Yes. I've been in a couple of bad ones, and honey, they were really, really bad, really bad. And
I
I just
actually
get out.
left a lot of them several years ago,
Yeah.
and, I'll share with you, I actually joined 1 or 2 back just to see what people were chattering about. I'm like, "This is so sad. I wish that people" once again, it was something like, "Oh, only eat for 1 hour no matter what." I'm like, "That's really bad advice," I
Yes.
think. So,
Yes. I was in one where they were giving people really bad advice about over fasting, because
yes.
fasting longer is not, and harder is not always the answer. And I just could not be a part of that. And then I've been in one where, they talk about calories, and if you can have anything less than 50 calories, it won't break your fast. And I'm
Yes.
just like, blah, 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 nonsense. I just
Also not for me.
unjoin, yeah, and go on to the next one because I am not trying to argue with those people.
No, I'm not here to argue. Maybe that
No,
is working for them. I
Yeah.
do know though, I don't know about you, but something that confused me when I first became a faster was I did go down the rabbit hole a little bit with hormones. And it's something that people talk about, should women fast differently? And
Yeah.
if I could just share with you what
Yes.
I've gained in 3.5 years, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it was a concern of mine at first. And then but I couldn't wrap my mind around how do I want to say this? Some people say like women shouldn't fast during certain times. And I'm like, I am always fasting, even if I'm having longer windows or shorter fasts, longer fasts. There's never a time ever again in my life where I'm not fasting. Does
No.
that make sense?
No, never. Even if it's 12 hours
Even if
and
it's a
a couple
12-hour
hours
fast.
before after sleep. No. Yeah, I did not ever buy into that. But what I did do was I learned very early on this. Now I had a hysterectomy in November of 21.
Okay.
I did keep my ovaries. I don't think they're doing anything anymore. I prior to that though, what I did learn was that I really did have to listen to my body very carefully when it came time for my cycle, particularly right before. And I
Yes,
learned to give myself a little grace during that time. That's what give yourself a little grace.
absolutely.
But I also tell people, don't tell me that just because I'm a woman, that I'm this delicate little flower that has to, that has to take some kind of prescriptive, soft approach to fasting just because I have my hormones are different than your hormones. Whether you're a woman or a man, because I'm of a certain age, I think the best advice or the better advice is to listen to your body. Like
I
if you're
agree.
on your period or if you're about to start your period or, or if you're ovulating, whatever, and you feel this overwhelming urge to eat, then guess what? You probably need to eat.
Yes, absolutely. And finally, fasting has given me the clarity to know when that is real and when that's not. So
Yes.
that's where I was at. Well, my first couple months fasting, I'll share that my cycle came a little early, which was weird, a couple
Yeah.
days early. I was like, oh, this is weird. And then it happened again. I'm like, well, this is super weird. And then everything just kind of leveled out. And just like you said, there's like one day, usually right before I start my cycle, where I'm like, you know what? Maybe I do need a little extra. I need an extra hour today. I'm going to eat something a little extra today. Or, this is my day to have a little splurge and eat some dark chocolates for
Yeah.
dessert and,
Yeah.
take care of my body, but
Yeah.
still fasting and
Of
not
course.
fast.
And that's why I tell people that fasting is biological, historical, biblical. Like you can look at it from any angle you want to look at it from.
All
But
the cools.
when you're talking when you're talking about hormones and women in particular, from a scientific standpoint, if you want to look at it from a plainly scientific standpoint, your body is gearing up to grow a human being, whether you do
Precisely.
or not. So yes, it probably thinks that you need a little more fuel and so just eat. Don't don't overcomplicate it by going by these set of rules about you need to fast this length at this point in the month and this length at this point in the month. I could never ever do that. I might as well be back on Weight Watchers if I was doing that.
No, and some people love that, but it sounds like we're similar that way, Amy Jo. I'm like an easy does it kind of person. Like, let's
Yes.
simplify my life. I don't want to write everything down. I want to make my life easier, not harder.
No. And where did Weight Watchers and low carb and Atkins and diet pills and where did all that get me? It got me to 300 pounds.
Precisely. Also, I tried keto, similar to you. I lost some weight, but it just wasn't sustainable for me. And as soon as I stopped, the weight came right back on.
Right back on. Right back on.
Yeah, no matter what. I love
Yeah.
meat and cheese, but that gets old after a while.
Yes, yes, it does.
So we did talk about little bit about stressful times, how sometimes you do need longer windows, but how do you stay motivated and consistent when things get tough?
I always go back to that clarity, that moment of clarity I had 2 weeks in where I was not in chronic pain anymore. That is my why. I think that's something that is talked about pretty commonly in our circle of fasting friends is what your why is. It's what I tell everybody. It's one of the first things I talk about with my clients that I coach. What is your why? And mine continues to be free of chronic, excruciating, life altering, debilitating pain. The weight
inflammation.
loss has been wonderful, and I know that the weight loss has also contributed to
Of
lessening the
course.
pain. Right. I mean, I understand that. If you don't think 20 pounds is a lot, go buy a bag of dog food and
Yeah.
put it in Walmart.
Yeah.
And I have done that. I have done that before. But yeah, it is just I don't want to be I look at pictures of myself and it's very painful for me to talk about it. Not in a I mean, I'm not going to break down or anything, but I look at pictures of myself when my son was little and I think about all of the things not that I missed out on because I was morbidly obese, but what did I allow my son to miss out on because I was morbidly obese? It kept
That's
me
a perspective.
being morbidly obese and being in chronic pain kept me from being able to not always do, but to do it enjoyably so,
Yeah.
things with my family. And I just that's always going to be my why, I think.
I think that's so important. And it's just for the audience, that's something that Jen Stevens always says. You need a powerful why that's
Yeah.
beyond weight loss alone. Although weight loss is a great motivator and it's why a lot of us enter, there's got to be something that keeps you going as well. And mine's similar inflammation, but also I was suffering. I had high cholesterol, high triglycerides. I was using a sleep app machine. I had sleep apnea. These are my powerful whys. I don't want to put that machine back on
Yeah.
if I could help it. And I love going to the doctors and not being concerned about my cholesterol. I've shared a little bit. My dad had a heart attack in his 40s. I'm his age when he had his first heart attack, and that's scary. So my powerful why is to avoid some of these things happening to me, and I'm glad I found fasting when I did.
Yeah. I was on metformin for about 3 years
Okay.
in a row, borderline type 2 diabetic. I was staring down the barrel of, am I gonna, have to take shots? Am I, and again, the weight loss surgery out of desperation. The metformin made me sick every day. And if you've ever taken it, my good cholesterol was always bad. My triglycerides were sky high. My cardiac risk was always high. I think
Uh-huh.
the top number is like 4 and mine was always 5 point something. Yeah, there's a whole big picture here that I say one of these days I'm going to write a book about. But, I think a lot of us have probably experienced the same talking about health markers, there, like you said, there's so much more than just weight loss and that is such a huge part of it. But there's also something to be said for the fact that I don't have to take Neurontin anymore. I don't have to take Percocet anymore. I don't have to take metformin anymore.
Yes.
I don't have to drink Metamucil with my meal because they're
Yeah.
cholesterol. It's just,
Not taking Tums before bed, saving money all over the place.
yes, yes. As a matter of fact, the whole entire year of 2020, prior to COVID, and I have done the research on this, and I don't have it sitting here with me to prove it, but that was the year that I started fasting for the first time in a long time. I didn't meet my deductible with my insurance.
Wow.
Sick. I just was not very sick, and if I didn't have all these other things, I probably wouldn't be either. But yeah, I mean that speaks volumes to me, and it's stuff that not a lot of people see except from my end.
Right. Those are all the behind closed door things that the public can't see. Your colleagues, your students, they can see the weight loss right away. It feels so good on the inside. Like it's almost this peace where I'm like doing everything I can to take care and invest in myself for the future. And I
Yeah.
think that's
You said
such
the
a
word
different mindset.
peace, and I got a little bit of a frog in my throat. You said that because it really is. It is a sense of peace and well-being. And I know to some people that sounds woo-woo. But
I like woo woo a little bit.
yeah, I mean, well, there are some things about fasting that are woo-woo. It's the things I said you can't really understand unless you experience it.
It's true.
It is
I
true.
talk about mental health and mindset. I've shared this before, but whenever I started fasting, I was like, there was a friend I hadn't talked to in a while. We'd got in an argument or whatever. Even through fasting, I was able to like let that go and get a relationship back with that person, for an example. It's those things that I just never, the mind clarity, the mental health. I know that digestive rest helps you to heal your body. It helps to take care of ailments, but I also think it helps to heal your mind. That might
Oh,
sound a little woo woo, but I'll take it.
but again. and I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, okay? This is not medical advice of any kind, but if you study about glycation and what it does to your brain and what it does to your arteries, what it does to your body, that, when your insulin is sky high and your sugar is sky high all the time, how it really just eats away at all these mechanisms in our body. And that all contributes to that mental wearing down that I think a lot of us feel, that
Absolutely.
fasting helps to reverse.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable.
It
Like
is.
I said, the bonus I never even expected or planned on, but, it's one of my favorite things now.
Yeah.
So, I'm
Yeah.
all about taking a moment for yourself. Sometimes life can be really frustrating, we could all say that, but I'm always just like, "Let's be a little bit grateful, let's be thankful today,"
Yeah.
right? So,
Well,
that
and
helps me do
I'll
that.
quote Laurie Lewis again.
Please do.
Fasting is not a diet. Can you finish it? You ever heard her say it?
No, I have not.
It is a quiet.
Not a diet, it's a
Isn't
quiet.
that beautiful?
That is
She
beautiful.
she is like freshly churned butter. She's so her voice and her demeanor and her delivery of everything. And the first time I heard her say that on her podcast, I cried. I cried, and that's another woo-woo thing, but because I understood it, and I don't know that people who don't experience this lifestyle can truly understand what the heck she's talking about.
Right.
That it's not a diet, it's a quiet.
Because I think so many people just try it for a few days and you need to really commit to Jen Stevens does a 28-day fast start, so I tell people commit to at least a month, right?
Yes.
Just
Yes.
do that for yourself.
Yeah. Instead of saying 2 days later, I can't do this. I can't go without eating for, 15 or 16 hours or whatever. This is not working. This is not working. Well, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. First experience the quiet, get used to that, because I think that we all could use just a little bit of quiet. I love that quote. I just wrote it down. Thank you.
Isn't it perfect? It is
Yes,
perfect. Yeah.
it
She's
is
like, she's
perfect.
like my Mary Poppins.
Yes, I could tell you love her. Like I said, I'm like, and I've heard of her before, and I even listened to her podcast on Jen Stevens when she spoke. But I think I need to go in and really look a little deeper.
Yeah.
I'm still learning myself. Like I said, I've been doing this for 3.5 years, and I'm finding new resources and new friends every day,
Me too.
which is so cool.
Yeah. It is one of the biggest blessings in my whole entire life.
That's amazing. So we talked a little bit about success in fasting, but what does success look like for you now compared to when you started?
With age and hormones and health problems, and I cannot blame my precious, precious mother forever. But my mother died very unexpectedly and tragically in May of 2023.
I'm so sorry.
She had a stroke. Thank you. She had a stroke, and she'd had some before that she came out of, and this one we thought she would. 22 days later, I helped my mother die in hospice, and I had to help my daddy live again after my mother died.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, I've had a very stressful, I mean, from May of 2023, here we are, 2.5 almost years later. Well, we are 2.5 years later. I still have some of the same struggles that I did then with stress in my life that I didn't have before. I changed jobs in the middle of this whole thing, and this job was one I'd prayed for 15 years, but it came right when my mother died, when God
Oh,
knew I needed it, but also that's a huge change.
yeah. Changing jobs is one of them. Like, there's the 7 major stressors in life. One of them, losing a loved one is one of them.
Yes.
It sounds like you had a few check marks.
Yeah. Losing mom, helping dad, because he lived with us. My daddy lived with me and my husband for about 8 months after mother died.
Okay.
But losing mom, living with dad, menopause. Menopause hit me in about October after my mother died. And then
Okay.
hormone problems, and then you just dealing with the health problems I was already dealing with. Right now, I think where I am in my life, success for me as someone who was a yo-yo dieter with absolutely no success, and someone who hated herself in the mirror from the time I can remember looking in a mirror, and someone who, despite all of that, has had great success with fasting. Success for me now is that I'm still doing it. And that in my heart and in my mind, I am convinced that I will never not do it. because it does not matter what has happened to me. I fasted through it. And I go back to all those days my mother was in the hospital. And if you've ever been through an event like this, you can understand, I was on autopilot. I don't remember a lot of
Yeah.
3 weeks. But what I do know is that I didn't have to worry about food. I could be there for my mother and my dad with my sister. I didn't have to plan my hospital stays around supper
That's a good
or
point.
work. Yeah. I mean, I could do what I needed to do for my family. And I didn't have to worry about, because in the past I would have been like, okay, well, I'm going to have to run through a drive-through and get me a bite of something real quick before I can go to the hospital.
Or on top of all this, I'm gonna have to pack my lunch and
Yep.
figure out what to cook for dinner, and that's one
Didn't
of
have
my
to worry
favorite
about
days.
it. Didn't
It's
have to worry
not
about it.
more.
If I could eat, I did. And couldn't, I just waited until the next day and I would feast. I'm always prepared. I joke that I'm a person who rarely goes anywhere without mixed nuts and cheese, just
That's
in
smart.
case.
That's a good healthy
Yeah.
snack.
Well, like if I'm traveling, I'm going to have something in case I need something decent to put in my mouth to open my fast with. And so I was always prepared. But yeah, success for me now is, Amy Jo, you have been through hell and back and you fasted through it. You
Yeah.
fasted through it. And that is the pep talk that I give myself when I do feel like I'm struggling. That to me is a success in itself, that I did not let the weight of life crush me like I would have before intermittent fasting.
And that's a wonderful thing and a great reminder that stress is always going to be there, but fasting is a consistency that I love. And can you imagine? I sometimes wonder where I would be as my highest was 249, so almost 250. But going through some of those life events and continuing to gain just a few pounds every year, where you'd be now after 5 years,
Yep.
that would be a really hard place.
Oh, I have no idea. I have no doubt that I would be back at 300, if not more.
I agree. Yeah.
As a person who ate her feelings and still sometimes does, I'm not a perfect person. I've got my little emergency stash over here in my drawer of some little chocolates in case I need a little chocolate fix. Yeah, we're getting here ready for final exams in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, success for me right now is I just fast through whatever it is. And sometimes that's 12 hours and sometimes it's 20 hours. But I'm going to fast every day.
Now, this is something we may have talked about earlier, but just to go back, do you usually eat every day, or do you still like to do some alternate day fasting or longer fast once in a
I
while?
have not been able to do that in quite a while because of just the stress in my hormones.
Yeah,
And well, in the last 6 weeks with my stomach issues,
that's right.
I've had to eat every day a little bit because I wasn't gonna starve to death, and that I was on the verge of it some days. I just couldn't eat. I wanted to eat, but I couldn't eat. No, right now I'm a person who eats every day, and I will tell you, for the most part, I have been very, very married to the mini meal of alternate day fasting, the
Yes.
modified mini meal. Love it. Everybody who knows me knows how much I love that protocol. That was my real sweet spot. Once I started and discovered I loved it, that was when the weight loss really, I could really see the weight coming off, was when I started doing alternate daily fasting, just 2 days a week, a mini meal. But right now, I just can't. I can't say I'm going to have mini meal on these days and I'm going to have up days on these days. And that's where I was before. And I didn't make it prescriptive at all. It was just a commitment that I
Yes.
made to myself. So I don't want people to get confused that, this was the diet that I put myself on. This was something I was very motivated to do, that I liked to do. But now if it comes and it happens just naturally, then yeah, that's fine with
Yeah.
me.
Or your
But
life might change, but right now this is working for you. And sometimes you have to eat for your soul as well. And not just, I with you too. I lost a lot of weight doing alternate day fasting and I really like it. I like it. Also, my daughter moved in with her baby. So now it was really easy to skip a day when it was just my husband and I. But now it almost seems like there's a little more of a family thing going on. I've been embracing a little bit more of the mini meals. But once again, that's where I go back to, fasting can change as your life changes.
yes,
Next year, I might be doing alternate day fasting every day for a year. I don't know, and overcommit, or I might eat every day for 4 hours. But either way. I know that I'm making good choices.
Well, my son got married in the summer of 2022. So, as I said, my husband and I are empty nesters. Before that, my priority really was because my husband was a football coach, my son played football for him. My priority was once the boys get home, I wanted us all to, be able to eat together. Now it's loosey goosey at my house. Well, and I can't eat a lot of what my husband can because I'm allergic to beef and all the things. So, like, if Rush, my husband's name is Rush, if he wants, bacon and eggs or whatever for dinner, then I may just have something else, nothing at all, or I may just have eggs and toast minus the meat. It's not, my needs have changed because my life has changed, and I just roll with it, like you said.
Just roll with it. Life always changes. I never expected to have a child in my home again. So
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't happen to you too quickly either, maybe
Yeah.
Jill, but you just never know what life's gonna give you and how it's gonna
No.
change. But
No,
I just
no,
love fasting has never been in question. It's just changed.
no. It's never been a question. When my mother was dying, I never once thought, do I need to just quit fasting? Because food's not going to fix it. And I tell
No,
people that, you've heard that, you've probably told people that. Well, I've heard about it, and it's a phrase that we see thrown around a lot in our communities is that food is not going to fix it.
food doesn't
And
fix it.
what is it going to benefit you to just throw it out the window? That's not an option for me.
No, I could even see tomorrow. I'm not going to do this tomorrow, by the way, but today I feel like I want to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but I can't see wanting to do that forever,
No.
every day, ever again. And that's really weird too. I could see having that day, maybe on vacation or something.
Yes.
But every time I've done something like that too, I don't know about you, but I feel like sluggish and sad. And I'm like, I can't believe how much I ate before. When you sit back and look at it now, I'm like, I couldn't fit that much in me anymore.
No. We went to Chicago for a few days in August to a concert, and we stayed at a nice hotel with friends, and our friends would walk a few blocks down to this breakfast place. My husband would go downstairs if he didn't go with them, and he would eat the complimentary breakfast. And I just slept because it wasn't that I might could have eaten breakfast because it would have been good, but I knew that if I did that, I was probably going to feel the rest of the day, and I was going to be walking 87 miles on the
Yeah,
streets of
feeling
Chicago.
yucky.
Yeah, and I did not want to feel full and gross, so I didn't eat.
Going on a cruise soon. I shared that with you, and I know I've been on a cruise before. I will not eat breakfast on the cruise. I just
Food
don't have any desire.
galore. No,
What was
yeah,
that?
food galore.
Food galore. I mean, beautiful food. I actually really like looking at it, smelling
Yes,
it. That's weird too. Being a faster before, I couldn't imagine cooking a meal without tasting something. And now it's almost a little rewarding. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I cooked a meal and I didn't even taste it. So good luck, guys. I hope it tastes all right.
I was about to ask you if you cooked fasted because I do too a lot most of the
Yeah, I
time.
do. Not every time, but yeah, it was almost like a challenge at first. I was really
Yes,
proud of it. I'm
yes.
like, "Oh, no bites, licks, or tastes," because
No,
I was that person.
have you ever looked and thought, "Oh, I could lick this or not," and then just like run my hand under the soapy water real quick to keep myself from licking my
It's
finger?
true. Every time
It
I
is.
make like a cake or anything, I'm like, nope. And I rinse it, I fill it with water. I'm like, you have changed.
Yes. It's a great feeling. Like you said, it's a sort of a challenge, a motivator.
I also worked a little second job before. I don't work it anymore, but I picked up like a summer gig working at a restaurant, and that was also really eye opening. I did most of my shifts fasted.
Yeah.
And all the other servers there, they'd be picking all night. French fry falls down, or they're throwing a little something in their mouth, or eating a little bit of soup. I was just watching, like, I can't believe how many calories they've consumed in just 6 hours from little bites,
Yes, here and there, picking up something here and
Yeah,
there. I
here's a
worked at a
potato
restaurant,
chip.
did the same thing.
Yeah, and I was really proud of myself because I'm like, and it also made me, I think, a better server because I wasn't touching any food. My hands were cleaner. If I did touch food, I'd wash them real quickly because I went accidentally. Like, I was very aware.
Yeah.
Servers would come to me and be like, taste this soda. Does it taste like it's running low? I'm like, I'm not tasting the soda. I'm not doing that today. You taste it. So
The
that
word
was
aware is a really good word, but I don't guess I've ever framed it that way of the things that fasting makes you aware of that you didn't realize before.
absolutely a more awareness, not
Yeah.
just with food and cooking, but just in general.
Right.
Even I've heard people say before, I think I'm a better driver when I'm fasted. I'm just more focused. I'm less distracted. Absolutely. What advice would you give or encouragement to someone who's considering intermittent fasting or just getting started?
Well, the first thing I would tell people is, that you're going to have some hard times as your body learns what to do. Hang in there. That's my saying. Hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. A lot of times I'm saying, hang in there with me, honey.
Absolutely.
But I also think that it's important for people to understand you don't have to do what I do. You don't have to do what anybody else does. You start at 12 hours, 2 hours before sleep, 2 or 3 hours after sleep. The easiest thing to do is just skip breakfast. That's how most people start. And you just start there. And like you said, give it a month. Give it a week. I mean, my goodness, give it a week or two and just tell yourself you can do anything for a week.
You can do anything for a week. Gotta choose your hard. That's what I tell people too.
Yes, yes.
I
I
don't know if
just
you
made a
remember your
post about
first
that.
week, but I had a girlfriend reach out to me just 2 weeks ago. Where do I start? Or just what you said. I was like, stop eating around 8 o'clock and just don't eat till lunch or even 10 a.m. Do a 14-hour fast. And then she's starting to do it. And then she
Yeah.
just wrote to me, she's like, but I'm having a little bit of like digestive unrest. Is that normal? I'm like, yes, actually, I kind of forgot about that. Your digestive unrest for just a little, that all goes away very quickly.
Yes. Yeah, just give it several days. Like you're not gonna die
Nope.
from not eating for 14 hours or whatever. But as well as I do, Erica, the one thing that so many people have the hardest time with is that black coffee.
Yes.
That black coffee, honey, and it almost got me. But don't drink coffee. If you can't drink it black, you know what I did? I went and bought caffeinated water.
Well, okay.
There is such of a thing as caffeinated water. You can buy caffeinated water if you're a person who has to have caffeine when your feet hit the floor. I'm not, but I did it to sort of help me along with that sluggishness, that you might experience first off. But yeah, either don't drink coffee or keep sipping on that black coffee for, a couple of weeks. Your taste will change.
Your taste will
Try
change.
cold brew. Try tea. Try unsweetened tea if you can't do
Try
it.
green tea.
Yes, yes. There's
That was a small
options.
hurdle for me as well. I liked my coffee with milk. I was already not using sugar, so that was good from my
Yeah.
like low carb days. I kind of let that go. But I was attached to that milk for a minute, but I was like, I just have to try this. What's the worst thing that will happen? And now most people won't believe this, but I prefer black coffee. Like
Yeah.
even during my window, you said you had a sweet treat today. I almost rarely even do that, even when I can.
Yeah. If it's really good black coffee. So I don't know if my friend April and I, we went and spent the night with Jen Stevens this summer.
That is so cool.
I
Yes,
know.
I heard about that.
Well, I met her at Little Rock in March of 2020
Okay.
at Lisa Fisher's house. She had
Wow.
a shindig for Jen, and I got to meet her. And so, being in her group, we talked all the time, and the three of us just sort of worked it out. But whatever kind of coffee Jen has, it was the best coffee I've ever had. Of course, Jen Stevens is not going to drink crappy coffee. She also has the beans, and her coffee machine grinds them, and that makes a lot of difference too.
Yes.
Freshly ground coffee beans. And it was so good. And so me and Jen and April just sat around for about 3 hours every morning and just sipped on black coffee. I don't do that at home ever. I don't really do it much at work. But there was just something about that coffee. And there's something a little sedate, I think, about enjoying those few moments with you and your coffee and your friends, whatever that, and the food noise is gone. It's not part of the equation
It's
anymore. You
gone.
don't have to commiserate over food.
No, I used to wake up right away and throw a bagel into the toaster while the coffee was brewing.
Yeah.
So, and that's all gone. And it's my favorite thing. We have a nice front porch and it's covered, so we could sit outside most of the year. I love just getting up in the morning and have a cup of coffee on my front porch with my husband and whenever I can.
Yeah.
And those are the things that really are important to me. It's no longer associated with food. It's associated with the people I'm with.
Yeah, and that is something else we talked about before we got on here. That is probably my favorite non-skill victory is the people that I had. You are my sixth podcast to be on. Okay. This is not something I had on my bingo card ever that I was going to be on anybody's podcast about anything. But the friendships and the connections that I've made with people in the last almost 6 years, I mean, I'll be talking about somebody that I'm talking to on the phone, and my husband's like, "Who is that?" You know, so and so. She's my intermittent fasting friend. I have so many intermittent fasting friends, and these are people that I may never meet, you know, like in real life, but I have real relationships with these people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
I think that's one of my favorite things too.
it fortifies this lifestyle for me. You talk about what I do when I'm struggling. This is part of it.
Giving back to others, doing
Yes.
podcasts, reaching out to your fasting friends.
Yes.
That's where I'm at too. I had lost the weight and I had posted about it in the Fasting Highway with Graham Curry.
Yes.
And he asked me to be on his podcast. I remember being a wreck. I was like, me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be the girl who talks about health and wellness with this guy. And I loved it so much. And it was just such a good feeling to
Yeah.
give back to others and make more friends through it. So I really appreciate you continuing to share your journey. I hope that you never stop because I think it's so helpful. It's helped me. So I want
Well,
to say thank you personally.
I appreciate the opportunity to share because it helps me as much as I hope it helps other people to tell my story. And this may sound silly, but occasionally I will go back and I'll find one of my podcasts and I'll listen to it again.
That's not crazy.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
it may sound like some people think that's narcissistic, but it's not. It's really me reminding myself of where I've been and how far I've come and that I can still do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with Grams. I listened to my first one and I was like, wow, I have come a long way even in just 1 year.
Yeah.
So people always say document your journey because you'll forget about a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
I forget sometimes what it felt like to feel some of those things. So take pictures when you can, before and afters, write down how you feel so you could share it with others. That's what I'm trying to do now because one day I'm even hitting a point where I'm meeting people in my now body and they never knew me as a plus size person.
Yeah.
So I want to document that to always remember so I could share my journey with others.
Yeah. And you said take the pictures. Oh my goodness. Take the pictures. Take them scared, take them ugly, take them any way you feel like take the pictures because the scale is not our only barometer. You need to look at yourself. And sometimes you can't even tell by how your clothes fit because women, especially, I think, with those hormone changes we've talked about, our weight fluctuates a whole lot in a day. And you can't really tell that unless you have a picture. I tell people nobody sees you more than yourself.
Right.
And it wasn't always that way. We might see ourselves in the mirror while we were getting ready or walking down the street, but now we see ourselves 50 million times a day because we're on a cell phone, we've got social media, we're doing FaceTimes, you know, whatever. You don't really know how you are changing until you stop and take a second and document it and then go back and look at it later.
Absolutely. I wish I would have taken more. I have taken some, but I started taking pictures. Maybe I'd already lost 10 or 15 pounds.
Yeah.
So I look at those pictures now. I'm like, wow, I've come so far. But I'm like, I was already feeling better
Yes.
in my before pictures and a lot of
Yes.
them. I
Yes.
was feeling a little sexy and sassy.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
I'm like, I should have started from day one. So that's one tip. If I could turn back time, I would have taken some day one pictures. And even if they were only just for me,
Yeah.
I wish I would have taken a few more. But
The only true before picture I have is, and I sent it to you, it's the one of just my face,
just your face, and you've
just
changed a
my
lot.
face, and I look sad, dejected, inflamed because I was all of the above. And I took that the night of my first day because I thought, okay, this is probably not going to work, but I just want to see what I look like today if it does work.
And now that's the picture you're sharing, but that's
Yes.
okay.
Yes. And then, you know, I've got other pictures of myself from when I weighed about, 300 pounds or so, but not the actual, day before, whatever. And that's the one that I have that my husband, he says, Amy Jo, it looks like a mug shot. And it really does. It looks sad and defeated. And that is exactly how I felt.
Well, I'm sorry that you ever felt that way, but you captured in the picture and your current pictures and you look beautiful, way different
Thank
than the
you.
woman in the first picture for
Thank you.
sure. So I'm glad that you were able to find relief from that as well. I
Yeah.
understand I couldn't find any full body pictures of myself except for I had attended a work event where we dressed up and I had to take some team pictures. And when I saw them, I cried,
Yeah.
and my family even says, like, we still think you're beautiful. We don't see you. We see you through the lens of love. And I
Yes.
really appreciate that. But I couldn't believe the woman looking back at me. So I knew that she was sad. And so I'm
Yeah.
so glad that I found my friends through fasting.
Yeah. Self-love is not wrong. If you look at it through the lens of caring about your temple and caring enough about yourself, doesn't have to be, it's not about how you look, it's about how you feel and wanting to take care of the body that you have because you've only got one.
You only have one, and that's good advice.
You've only
So
got
we only
one.
get one chance around this planet, right?
Yep.
One shot at it.
That's
So
it.
let's take care of it.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your message with me today, Amy Jo, I appreciate it. And it's
Well, you're
really nice to
welcome.
meet you in person,
Yes.
kind of, and virtually in person.
Yeah, virtual in person. Well, I appreciate you reaching out to me and giving me another opportunity. It really means more to me than, well, you do know.
Well, I appreciate you always being so willing to share your journey, especially with me. So how exciting. And I really hope it helps a lot of people. That's my number one goal. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pause and Fast podcast. It truly means the world to have you here, showing up for yourself and this community. If you want to keep the conversation going, come and join us at the Pause and Fast Facebook group. It's where we connect, share, and support each other on this journey. You could also follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Pause and Fast for more tips, stories, and updates. And if you feel called to share your own fasting or health journey, I would be honored to hear it. Just send me an email at pause.and.fast@gmail.com. Your story might actually be exactly what someone needs. Thank you again for listening. I'm cheering you on, and until next time, let's keep moving forward together for better health. Have a great day.